day. I'm like, what is today? Happy Tuesday to you. So if you're watching this video right this very second over on Facebook, it's likely you're watching the replay. Please put hashtag replay in the comments for me so that we know when you are watching the video. So we are live on both Facebook and YouTube. I've got Victoria here with me. So y'all ask me questions, comment, ask questions as we go. It just makes the video so much more fun if we can talk and enjoy.
Sorry.
Victoria, you're just having some issues, baby girl. She can't get settled. So I have some of the most beautiful oak leaf hydrangeas blooming outside our window here at the shop, and I decided I needed to go cut some of those oak leaf hydrangeas and make an arrangement from flowers that we cut out of the yard. And I thought we would do that today on the live. When you come on, please tell me hello. Tell me how you're doing today. Tell me where you're from. Because we love to know that. It's just fun. It's just fun to know where everybody's from. So I am going to use a very large cube vase. I want to say this is I think it's 12 by 12, but I am not exactly positive. I was going to see if the sticker said it on the bottom, and I don't think it does. Anyway, it's a large glass cube, and it's pretty heavy when you put enough water in it. It gets pretty heavy, huh, Victoria? Mm-hmm. She filled it up with the water for me and brought it in, so it gets pretty heavy. Now, you can see it's a really wide mouth. I mean, it's pretty wide. And so I am going to use some curly willow as an armature. Now, an armature is a grid that holds flowers in place. So it just is kind of made to hold all of the flowers in place. And so we are going to work with a little bit of curly willow to try to get that to work for holding our hydrangeas and our greenery. Now the greenery I cut was Elaeagnus out of the yard, but I'm going to show you everything as we go. I'm going to start out with a few stems, and I just threw my scissors on the floor, a few stems of this curly willow.
Both Rhea and Allison say that's not a vase, that's a fish tank.
It is, yes. It would hold plenty of fish, except I have cats, and they would so be fishing in it, right? So I'm just going to take my curly willow, and I'm going to kind of wad it up and try to stick it down into this container. I'm actually going to take my snips.
I think today's Miss Margaret Lynch's birthday. She says she's a year older today.
Happy birthday, Miss Margaret Lynch. Happy birthday.
Miss Julie asks, when will you be going on vacation, Monty? She's planning a stop in Mississippi.
We are leaving. We're going to go on vacation the last week in June. We will leave, what's that last day? We'll leave on the 23rd, is that right? A Sunday. And we'll be back the next Sunday. So I'm just taking this curly willow, and I am going to just I'm just wadding it up. Is that a word? Wad? Yes, I think it is a word. Mm-hmm. So I'm just taking it and kind of tying it in knots, and we're going to just push it right down into this water. Now what it's going to do is it's going to give us a way to stick these flowers in, and they're going to catch to the curly willow. And Alexa, stop. Y'all have had some music going this afternoon.
I know.
You and Owen. So this is just going to give us a way for our stems to stay in place. Now when you have a container that has such an open mouth, everything wants to topple out. So I have found if you can make a grid of some sort, and it doesn't have to be curly willow, it can be anything. You can use tape, you can use just about anything. If you'll make a grid of some sort, it's going to hold your flowers into place. Now this would be a great place to use even a frog. Did Owen post that today?
I think he's posted it already.
Has he?
I think he posted it yesterday, actually.
So I did a video using a frog. I believe it was yesterday. I know that we worked on a reel, using the frog. But anyway, the frog is kind of the same thing. It's just a grid or a device that we use like floral foam to hold flowers into place. So you can see how I just kind of wadded up that curly willow and made us a grid. Next, what I'm going to do, I have my hand towel here because you get your vase so wet. I'm going to see if my tape, and it's very likely that it won't, I'm going to see if my tape will hold on this vase.
Suzanne Nish and Miss Dolores, I'll say hello on YouTube.
Hello, ladies. Thank y'all for being here. So this is a clear tape. It is a floral tape that you tape, and I don't think it's going to stick. It might. I was just going to tape across this grid to kind of hold, and it won't. It's not going to hold. It held there, though.
We have a few prayer requests. Cam asks for prayers for his family and friends and his cousins. His uncle passed away just a few short minutes ago.
Oh, Cam, I'm so sorry. We certainly will. We'll keep you all in our prayers.
And Gray asks that everyone pray for Jimmy Carter's family. He passed away today.
Oh, thank you for letting us know. Thank you, Gray.
Oh, Rhea says she watched our frog video just now.
Really? Yes. Don't you love a frog? I love a frog. Okay, I'm going to try a different tape. The clear tape wasn't going to stick. We're going to see if this waterproof tape will stick, and it may not. But it might. It might. So I'm just coming across, and I think it's going to. I'm just coming across this curly willow with this tape just to kind of hold it in place.
Ann Seacrest asks, how's your mama? And Miss Angie says, hope your mother is feeling some better, praying for her for complete healing.
Thank you so very much. She had her second treatment this afternoon, and she was feeling a little woozy, so Robbie drove her home. Robbie worked this morning, and so Mama came up here and picked Robbie up, and they went to treatment. And she was feeling a little woozy, didn't feel great. So Robbie just drove her home, and Allie's going to come and help Robbie pick up her vehicle. But it's just one day at a time. She's so positive. She's got a wonderful attitude. And I tell you, attitude is a huge part of it. But she's doing well. Thank y'all for praying for her. Thank y'all so much. Okay, so I came across the top of this vase with a little bit of tape in hopes to keep my curly willow in place. We'll just play with it. It's really just a for me kind of arrangement, so it's not a big deal if it doesn't hold. But I did put a couple of strips of waterproof tape, which is just this green tape, across it to hold that curly willow in place. Next, we're going to come in with some Elaeagnus. Now, Elaeagnus is just a shrub that grows. We actually planted it here when we did the landscaping here at the flower shop years ago. We planted several Elaeagnus shrubs. And Elaeagnus, what it does is it puts off these long shoots of greenery, which is wonderful in the floral industry. Now, I have been told by landscapers that it's a landscaper's nightmare because it's mess, you know. But I took and trimmed that stem, and I'm just going to kind of tuck some of this Elaeagnus into this container. I was at a wedding one time, and we were using Elaeagnus that we had cut. And this fella who does gardening for a living and yard work, he said, that is a nightmare. We hate it. I said, well, we as florists love it because it's really a great foliage.
Rhea Norman says, our King Charles is doing really well with his cancer treatment. He's so determined to get out and see people. He's marvelous, she says.
Bless his heart. I tell you, I hate cancer. Hate it.
Oh, Miss Lauren says birds get drunk off the berries.
I did not know that. Can't you see a whole bunch of drunk little birds? I did not know that. But I have always really liked using it in floral design. Well, number one, it's free in the yard, so that's always a plus. And it does make a statement when you use it. So I'm just taking my snips and I'm cutting those stems and tucking them in. I'm just stripping off some of the bottom leaves. And you can see how that curly willow is just holding my foliage really, really well.
Oh, I missed this earlier, but Cam said he just got finished with an extra large wreath for a funeral.
Really, Cam? Please share a picture. We'd love to see it. All right, so I'm just taking my foliage and cutting it and tucking it right into the grid of that curly willow. You can make an armature really with just about anything. If you had some large wire, like bouillon wire, you can actually make almost like a little bird's nest with the wire and tuck it down in there. It would work perfectly. You could use chicken wire. The only thing is that chicken wire in a clear glass vase isn't beautiful. So that's the reason I don't like to use it in this type of container. Now, if you have a container that is not see-through, your chicken wire would work perfect. But with it being see-through, I thought the curly willow would actually be visually pleasing. Okay. So there's our greenery. Honestly, that's pretty, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that's very pretty. And really, a lot of foliages can be used out of your yard. Not only the Hydrangea you can cut, and we did this last week. We went and cut Nandina, used Nandina in some small arrangements that we didn't have a huge budget for. You can cut different types of privet. Not all privet will hold in water, but there's lots of things you can go cut out of the yard. So kind of just go out, cut things, drop it in a vase, see if it holds. I actually had one of our followers ask last week, Monty, I can't even remember the foliage exactly, will it hold in water? And I said, always test it first before you make an arrangement and give it to a friend or what have you. Always take it, cut it, put it in water and see if it'll hold. Okay, so there is our Hydrangea, and it's really already very pretty. Okay, next I've got, now I will say that some of these oak leaf hydrangeas are a bit weathered because we've had a lot of rain lately, but I think they're still so very fun to work with. So I just went out and cut lots of them, and I thought we would just make a showy arrangement using these oak leaf hydrangeas. Now, oak leaf hydrangeas are very hardy hydrangeas. Like, honestly, we've not had to do one thing to them. They just come back every year. They bloom pretty, and they love full sun. They're in the full sun right here in the front of the flower shop, and they come back every year. I'm going to take my snips, and I cut that stem, and I am just going to nestle them right in.
You have a few, let's see. Rhea says she loves the willow in the vase. She says it's lovely.
Isn't that fun, Rhea? Very easy and fun to use.
Allison says, with all our technical advances, you would think a cure for cancer would be found.
I agree, Allison. I agree.
Pam Ellis says magnolia would be beautiful in an arrangement.
Absolutely. Now, magnolia foliage, I have never really used a magnolia flower. And I should actually go cut a bud and we kind of play with it. Magnolias, when you touch them, they want to brown. They want to get brown. And so they're really hard to use. The flower itself is really hard to use in a cut arrangement.
Judy Roeder says you can line the clear container with this big leaves to cover the wire.
Absolutely, you sure could. You could use aspidistra leaves or anything that might be growing. The only problem though when you get to lining things with foliage is the foliage wants to promote the growth of bacteria. And so you always have to be careful. Now, y'all, this is going to be the simplest arrangement you've probably ever seen me put together. We are just using these simple oak leaf hydrangeas, and I'm cutting them at an angle. Now, you can absolutely do this with any type of hydrangea. I tell you, this year I would like to plant some limelight hydrangeas in my yard because they're a very hardy white hydrangea. But these are really fun to me, and I think, and they're not perfect, they're not absolutely beautiful, but they're really so fun, and I really think they would make such a lovely statement.
Miss Julie says, I have used forsythia stems.
Yes, I love forsythia.
Miss Lenise Gentry Carter asks, does the greenery smell? I can't spell the name of it.
The Elaeagnus greenery, it does not smell. Now, it does when it's blooming. Its blooms have a pretty fragrance, but the foliage itself does not.
Miss Gloria says, praying for your mom. I had breast cancer 3 years ago. We found it early. It was very small, and they were able to get it all. It is so important to go get your mammogram.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. It's so important to get your checkups. So important.
Gray wants to know if you can make an arrangement with puzzle pieces. He says, I would like to see one with jigsaw puzzle pieces, if you could.
So tell me, what are you thinking with the jigsaw puzzle pieces? Where would I put them? How would I make an arrangement with them? Give me a vision. Let me see if I can make it work. And so again, I'm just taking each of these blooms, I'm cutting them at an angle and tucking them right down into this water. Now, you can absolutely, at home, if you've got some alum, it's a powder, you can absolutely dip these in alum and then tuck them in the water, and they're going to last longer. It just keeps their little heads hydrated. But look how fun and showy that arrangement is, and it's just blooms out of the yard. Now, when you're cutting flowers out of your yard, and I will say I did not do this today, but when you go to cut flowers out of the yard, you want to cut them in the morning rather than in the evening. In the morning, they have had time, overnight, they've had time to have a cool spell where it's cooler at night and they get really well hydrated. And in the morning, you cut them in the morning and they're much more hydrated. In the afternoon, like I just cut them, they've had all day to have to sit, and they've worked real hard in that sunlight to stay hydrated. And it's really warm. It's fairly warm here today. I think we've been up to, we might have gotten to 80, not quite, I don't think, but it's harder on them if you cut them this late in the afternoon. So anytime you're going out to cut flowers, you want to cut them early in the morning.
On YouTube, Lucinda says, hi ladies, I would like to report that I made it through my first Mother's Day / holiday as a new florist. I hope you all had a great Mother's Day as well.
That is wonderful. I'm so happy. I hope it was successful.
Miss Janice Hux on YouTube says, I have learned so much from you and your videos, a true inspiration.
Oh, thank you, friend. I'm so thankful for that. Now, I did leave all of this foliage on these hydrangeas. I left it on there just because, well, it's just so pretty. This would not be an arrangement that I would sell to someone. This would be an arrangement that I would probably make to make a statement piece at my house, okay? So this would never be something that would go out of our flower shop. It would always be something that you would have at home, that you would, I mean, these are definitely out of my yard type of flowers because they're not perfect. And so I know that this would be an arrangement that wouldn't last very long, but it sure does make a very pretty statement. And it's so fun to be able to go out and cut things out of your yard and enjoy them in your home, in my opinion.
Cheryl from Michigan says, hello, she's so excited because we're live today. She hasn't seen us live in a couple weeks.
So glad you're here, Cheryl. Thank you for being here.
She says she hopes your mama is doing well and she's praying for her.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you.
Miss Valerie asks if the backside of the Elaeagnus leaves are white.
They're kind of a silver, kind of a silvery almost even have a little bit of a gold hint to them. I've got a nice little ladybug right here.
Yeah, Miss Dawn Miller was asking, do you worry about bugs?
This is a little ladybug that at least we don't have a. I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say at least we don't have a lizard and watch him jump out in just a minute.
Do you worry about bugs?
I don't worry about bugs, but yes, you will, because I went and cut them out of my yard. We will probably get a few little bugs, like that sweet little ladybug that just crawled. And of course you can add as many or as few of these flowers as you would like. But gosh, y'all, that's such a pretty arrangement. Next, I thought to give us just a little bit of height and a little bit of whimsy, I have a couple of stems of the curly willow that's left. And I'm just going to take it, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it in the top to just give us a little bit of whimsy in the top of that arrangement.
Cam says he's going to send us a picture of the arrangement he just made.
Sounds wonderful, Cam. We'd love to see it.
Saska Atkinson says this looks interesting and beautiful. Hope you girls are all keeping well.
We are, Saska. Thank you. Thank you so very much. So this is just curly willow that I just kind of tucked in the top just to give us a little whimsy. But you can certainly cut branches out of the yard. Always go out and be creative with the things that you've got in your yard. It's so much fun. And use different types of containers. You absolutely do not have to use an actual vase. You can go and find different containers that you have in your home. I mean, even a soup pot would be pretty, like an old pot or a pitcher. You could take those and fill those with water and put all kinds of flowers that you find in the yard. I have gone out, actually last week I went out and cut some Queen Anne's lace, which I love to use because it's so much fun and it's really whimsical. But I cut Queen Anne's lace a lot and use it just because I just really enjoy weeds.
Miss Dolores, this arrangement was just for fun.
It was just for fun, Miss Dolores. These are actually oak leaf hydrangeas out of our flower shop flower bed. We have these growing just right out here in our front flower bed. And I said to Victoria, I said, let's cut oak leaves. They're so much fun.
Miss Julie asks if we have rhododendron. I can't say this word.
Rhododendron. We do not have any rhododendron.
Let's see, they're loving it. They're saying it's fabulous.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Maria Norman says as far as the puzzle pieces, she says you could hang them like on twigs like Christmas decorations.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Miss Valerie says we've glued puzzle pieces to ribbon and also glued them to the vases for autism awareness.
Yes, that's wonderful. We may have to work on that. We'll figure out something.
Oh, Miss Deborah says to glue the puzzle pieces on bamboo sticks, paint your foliage green, and you can give it to someone who loves to do puzzles.
That would be cute. We'll have to work on that. That'll be something creative that we'll have fun with. Thank you for the idea, Gray. We'll work on that for you.
Marianne asks, can you put Quick Dip in a water container to hydrate all the flowers?
So what we normally do is I don't mix Quick Dip with my water, but I did speak with someone the other day who says that they add Quick Dip to their buckets when they hydrate their flowers. We do not. Most often we will, now, and I've even seen other florists that'll take and Quick Dip every flower they use before they add it to their vase arrangement. For us, we add fresh flower food to our water, which would include a sugar base. It has a little bit of citric acid because citric acid causes flowers to uptake water really well. And then it has a little bit of a bleach or something to kill the bacteria. So whenever you're at home and you are making flower food at home, you can use either table sugar would work and a touch of bleach, or you can use Sprite, which is, just a clear soda, lemon lime soda. The citrus that's in the lemon lime soda helps the flowers to be able to uptake that water really well. And the sugar in the soda is what they feed off of. And then you're going to do a few drops of the bleach in the water. The bleach is not going to hurt the flowers. It's actually going to kill the bacteria that may grow in that water.
Emily Brogdon asks, are you going to dry these?
We could, Emily. I am not exactly sure how you would go about drying them. Would I just leave them in this vase and remove the water? What would I do to make sure that they would dry? Now, I do know they're going to say, did I miss a stem?
You see it on that, right at the top? Nope, it was on that side.
It's on this side? Oh, I did. That's greenery, I think. Oh, it's my curly willow. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm just looking. We're both got our head turned down. I bet we look funny.
Miss Diane asks if they bloom all spring and summer.
So they are long bloomers, not all spring and all summer. They will bloom. I have never even paid much attention. Now, they have been blooming for several weeks now. But I'm not exactly sure how long they will stay blooming. Now, their blooms are almost spent. You can see that they're starting to darken some. Their blooms are almost spent, but they're still very fun to make a pretty arrangement with. Again, this would not be an arrangement that would be I would not sell this arrangement. This would be something that would just be for me. But it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
So there may have been a few more questions, but Facebook isn't letting me go back.
It won't let you go back.
But they are loving this. They're saying it's beautiful.
But guys, I want you to be creative with the flowers that are in your yard. You do not have to have fancy blooms to make a fun arrangement. I'm trying to scoot it over just a little bit so you might see my face. You don't have to have fancy flowers to make a pretty arrangement, even if you had a shrub that was starting to bloom out. Like we have privet that blooms and it smells so lovely and it has soft little white blooms. I have cut it and placed it in vases. But anything that has a pretty bloom, cut a few of those blooms and pop them into a vase. I remember as a little girl, my grandmother was not a florist by any means whatsoever. I would consider her an artist. She would paint beautiful paintings, and she liked flowers. She enjoyed flowers. And as a little girl, the first arrangement I ever remember, she took a conch shell. It was a large shell, and I don't even know where it came from, but it was a really large shell, and she went out and cut a few blooms of her daylilies. Now, a daylily is exactly that. It lasts one day. The bloom lasts one day. And I remember her filling a dish with water and laying that shell kind of turned up so that you could tuck flowers down into the opening of the shell. And she took those pretty lilies and she just laid them right in the water, kind of like they were pouring out of that shell, and then she used different grasses. Now, those were all things that she had in her yard, and I remember thinking as a little girl that was the prettiest arrangement I had ever seen. Now, it was as simple as can be. But to me, as a little girl, it was gorgeous. So I want you to make memories with your children, your grandchildren. Go and cut those blooms out of your yard. You're going to enjoy them way more in your home than you are in your yard. So don't hesitate to go out and cut a few blooms and bring them in to enjoy. She also, when I was a little girl, she would take the buds of magnolias, because a magnolia you're not supposed to touch. If you touch it, kind of like a gardenia, it's going to get dark. And so she would take that magnolia in very much a bud state, but it was an opening bud. It wasn't a tight bud, it was an opening bud. She would take it and cut it, and she would bring it in and set it right into a bowl of water. And slowly that bloom would open, and I remember thinking it was just heaven, because a magnolia has such a beautiful fragrance. But be sure to go and cut those pretty flowers. Bring them into your home and enjoy them. They do not have to be the most beautiful blooms in the world, as this is not. Did we go dark? Go cut them. Enjoy them for the few days that they will last. Because I promise flowers will mean so much more to you when you are able to bring them in and enjoy them inside. I'm going to wait just a second till you get them back on before I sign off. Guys, if you have any more suggestions for things you'd like to see, and Gray, we will play with the puzzle idea. We'll try to think of some fun ways to incorporate puzzles to an arrangement. But if you've got any fun ideas that you'd like to see us do, please don't hesitate to drop that in the comments or send me a message. I'd love some fun ideas that we could do this summer. Maybe we could go with some themes. We've even talked about each of us girls, each of us designers, taking the same types of flowers and all making an arrangement, and you guys guessing who might have made what arrangement, which would be hard, but I think it'll be fun. But if you've got any ideas, like a summer theme that we could do this summer, I would love some ideas, because I think it makes it so much more fun. And we do videos every day, so we would love to do some kind of theme. Guys, thank y'all for being here. If you have any questions about how we do things here at this flower shop, you can always ask. You can drop it in the comments or send it on Messenger. If I can pray for you for something, I would love to pray for you. So you can certainly drop that here too. And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a heart or a thumbs up. We will be back in the morning at 8 o'clock with our devotion. And then we will come back tomorrow afternoon here on Facebook to do another flower arrangement. Guys, y'all have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.